Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coast Files, our podcast for ocean mysteries and true crime. I'm Chantal.
I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Megan. Happy almost Halloween, by the way.
Yes,
Almost Halloween.
we're getting there. 2 more weeks by
Yes.
this point.
And for those just listening, we're all wearing our spooky shirts or
Mhm.
yep. So
This is my Samus-esque shirt that my mother got for
it's
me,
so
and
cute.
my catacorn socks.
Don't tell them what that is. You have to go find us on YouTube or Instagram to know what Capricorn means.
Exactly.
Right.
I think you can figure it out, but
Quick anecdote. This is when this comes out. I've been married for 2 years.
oh
and
my
with
god.
my
Your
man,
anniversary?
with my man for 7.
Yeah,
Wait, is it-
actually,
Oh,
last week was your one day past your anniversary, and I didn't even mention that. I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
right. But it's
Yeah,
in the
you
we're
are.
recording in the future. No, in the
Future.
past.
We're-
To the
we're
future.
recording in the
So
past.
we
Yeah.
haven't actually missed
Time
the
is
anniversary.
a social construct, man. Like, when even are we, really?
Like,
Yeah.
The actual anniversary is in my calendar, so I can't miss it. So
That's okay.
Yeah.
Also, it's just
but-
on a very good date to remember because
Mhm.
it's in spooky season. So
isn't that? Oh no, it's A Walk to Remember. I was like, isn't that a movie?
a date to remember.
A date to
Is that
remember.
the sequel where it's like her ghost and Shane
Oh,
West?
I just love
no.
that you spent your first anniversary with us. And
I
not
know.
In Salem?
Yes, in
Guys,
Salem.
I would do it again.
I was like, you know that's gonna fall on your anniversary, your first anniversary, right?
Yeah.
She's like, that's fine. I'll see
Yeah.
him. Like, you saw him later that night. To be fair,
Yes, you
I
got
think
back
we
on your
went
first anniversary.
on your
so.
first anniversary,
And
but
also,
you
like,
spent the morning with us.
I love
waking
my
up in bed
husband
to
very,
us.
very much. But yeah, I was never going to rearrange a Salem Boston trip, waking up in a room with the three of us. Like that was
Yeah, and the fact that he understands that shows what a keeper he is.
that's why we're married.
Mhm. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So I mean, we're just gonna jump right in because this is depressing. Are you guys shocked?
I thought it was a
Perfect.
fun Halloween episode. Now I'm gonna have to.
So it is
Sad.
lightly Halloween related, but fun it is absolutely not. So
That's why we're drinking.
Okay.
If people get it, please, people, we've had a comment about it. We are not making fun of anything that happens to people. We are making light of a situation because it's awkward.
Well, we're literally just talking before the episode too, so we're
Yes.
trying to
You know
have
what?
a moment.
There's
before
nothing that
the
you can do to
darkness.
please everyone.
No,
And
no.
I mean, I cover these cases because this case is I don't want to ruin it too much, but I had never heard of it until I started to do research for it. And there's just so much evil in the world, and sometimes someone may hear an episode, like, who knows, right? There's already
Mhm.
podcasts that have covered this, but if someone hears it and maybe a trigger or something, that would be amazing.
Mhm.
So it's just, I think it's important to tell.
I think
And yeah,
that's-
any jokes that we make is just because it is so depressingly sad that we're just trying to make it not as awkward.
Fair.
Really. So today's story takes us out west to British Columbia, Canada, which is on the West Coast. So it's just north of, Washington State?
right.
Seattle?
I'm gonna go with
Yes.
yes, but
Yeah,
Wow.
it's above Washington.
Washington State, right?
guys, I don't know what's on a map, right?
I don't even know where I am right now.
I've actually been to both Washington State and BC. So
You've been to Seattle kind of
I went to
recently-ish.
Seattle. Well, I mean, it was like 5 years ago.
That's not
so
recent.
Not
Okay.
recent. But I was there for like a weekend. And I was actually I spent a day in Seattle and then we drove outside the city for a wedding. So I can't really claim I've been there very much. But
It's on my
Okay,
bucket
that's what I
list.
was thinking. That wedding was 5 years ago. Jesus.
yeah,
know, I was
Kristen
shocked.
still
Yeah. Okay.
really little. So
You're right, Megan. Time means nothing. So
Yeah, no, time is just a construct of scientists who want us to believe. Anyway,
Mhm.
so
I thought about like Kurt Cobain the whole time I was there though, because I'm like, this is where Nirvana was from
Mhm.
and so many other bands
Can we not talk about other members of
of
Foo
Nirvana.
Fighters right now? Or sorry,
Listen.
damn it, Freudian slip of Nirvana, because I'm just
Well,
very
also
upset.
Foo Fighters. Yeah,
Wow.
I know. I'm upset too. I was shocked. Like I sold
Listen, this
Process
is why you
again.
don't
It's
put
not
people on a
even-
pedestal.
I know. It's hard not to put Dave Grohl on
Also,
a
did you
pedestal
guys
up until
know
now.
that in every previous relationship that he's been in, it has ended for infidelity?
Are you serious?
Yes.
No, I did not know that.
Yes.
I know that
So
his
calling a spade is
I
a
didn't
spade.
I read his book, but he wrote it, so he probably didn't fully
Like,
elaborate as much
would
as
you?
the
I
rest
wouldn't.
of us. Right.
Yeah. So it's either
Seemed like
like
loving girl dad was the vibe I got. So,
okay, and
which I'm
that's fine.
sure
You
still
can be
is.
that. That can
I'm
two things
sure
can be
that is
true,
right.
right?
But he
So
seems like very much in love with his wife from his book. So
and that can
that
also
could be
be
also
true.
true.
Yes.
But he's
So
still, you know,
yeah,
it's just sad when you think like, oh, like no, are no men immune to this?
no.
I mean, in general, I don't think anyone really is immune to it. I think if,
Right.
you have the
Anyone.
right
I shouldn't just say
combination.
men. It should be
But
like anyone. But
no, I totally
Yeah.
get what you're saying because, like what Chantal was saying, there are just certain people in the public eye that are known for having this, like, not squeaky clean image, but just like a good, decent human, and you're like,
And
oh,
he still is that. Just because you
yeah.
mess up in a marriage doesn't mean you're not
Oh,
a
and
decent
listen,
human.
mess up, but
So
having a kid, like, you're like, yo, I'm not going to wear a
well,
condom today. I just think that is so crazy.
Right.
yeah,
You did
that makes sense
disrespect
to
the
me.
health of your wife by
You
now
hey,
maybe the condom broke. We don't
you
know.
did. Or
Maybe
maybe
they
they
have
were both tested and know
circumstances.
that they were
Maybe it's a
fully,
long-term outside of marriage relationship
which is what
that
it sounds like it is, to be fair.
okay.
But yes, I did read something recently that either every ex had either said that was the reason his first marriage ended. And there were other exes who said it was the same reason why their relationships ended as well. It was all infidelity. So
So,
Good at
Dave, if you're
music,
listening,
not good at
something to look for
fidelity.
maybe when you're in your next therapy session is
Yeah.
explore that because
And also like I'm not trying to give him excuses, but like with Taylor Hawkins dying last year or 2 years ago,
mhm.
I don't know how that affected him. I assume very tough.
Oh, that
So
was I'm
maybe he
assuming
went off his
detrimental.
rocker. I don't know. Like who
yeah, I
knows
mean,
what?
like, humans are humans. I'm never going to be like, you're the literal devil for having an affair. It's just like, not cool, man.
Yes, I'm not going to condone it because, like, if you step outside without first talking to your partner about
Mhm.
potentially wanting to do things like that, because
It's
as
like,
we know, like, non-monogamy relationships are becoming more and more a thing.
yeah, totally.
That's perfectly fine as well, but it's
Yeah.
definitely like all parties have to be involved in it,
Yeah.
and to do
Yeah,
it
especially when
without
your
all parties
sexual
being involved
health
is
is there.
selfish. And yes, your
Very.
sexual health is at risk. So anyways, it's sad, but this is why we do not put people on pedestals because they are
They're
going
just
to
people.
disappoint you if you do. It's like they always say don't meet your idol, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like because they're going to disappoint
Right.
you.
I'm glad I didn't name my kids after anyone.
Yeah.
They had their
That's
own
fair.
names.
That's
We
fair.
just liked them and we went with it.
Yeah.
Always safe. And even when it comes to like tattoos, just don't get names, please.
No. Oh God.
Right.
Do
Don't ever get
not get
names.
your husband tattooed on you.
Yeah. Chantal,
Well,
you could, and Megan, you can totally get my name tattooed on you guys.
Oh
if
yeah,
you
well,
want
no,
to
we'll
that's
get
go
each
there.
other.
That's
Yeah.
safe.
Are
That's
we
a
not
safe-
Coach Spell's
gonna
tattoo is happening.
Oh, that too. But are we not
Yeah.
gonna get a practical magic tattoo?
Well, I mean, we got to get Lindsay into tattoos first.
Yeah,
so.
I'm a virgin skin over here.
Yeah.
I'm the only one not tattooed.
What if Chantal and I had like the really pretty, nice one, and you had like a minimalist line version where they're
Like
similar?
stick poke.
Oh my gosh, she'll love that.
Yeah. God, don't do that.
I think for me to get a tattoo, I'd have to address childhood trauma around my father, because I know
Okay.
he would freak out.
Oh no, you get
About
it in
those
like a really
things.
like under the
Okay.
ribs. He'll never see it. That type thing.
Right. Except when we go to the beach or something, I'll have to wear a one-piece bathing suit. It's fine.
There you go. Yeah.
There are ways.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna point out
Okay.
I didn't even get 2 sentences in, and we've
Okay.
already.
All right. We've talked about
derailed.
we were going to talk about Dave Grohl. We did that. We've talked about our potential future.
Actually, we said that we're
tattoos.
not gonna
We
talk about
weren't
Dave
gonna-
Grohl.
Oh, we're
And
not.
this is
oh,
coming like a month out after the incident. but
right.
anyway,
when we're
so.
filming, it's fresh. It's
Yes.
fresh when we're filming.
The
but
pain is
it's-
still very deep.
The
for
pain
me
is
personally.
still right. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try one more time. Should I just
Okay.
restart?
Yeah, do it.
Yes.
Let's go.
Sorry.
Okay, and again, sorry that we're laughing. It's only because we're friends, and so we talk about stuff before we get into the deep stuff. So everyone,
Mhm.
just deep breath. It's a
Just deal with
comedy
it, okay?
slash.
Don't be here if you don't want to be here.
Yeah. Although please stay.
No,
'cause
we
the
don't want to
listen
alienate
counts.
people. Please.
Even if you want to hate listen. That's
You
fine.
can
Yeah,
hate us.
you can hate listen, you can hate comment, whatever. As Megan always
We
says,
would actually love if you
engagement
hate
is
comment,
engagement.
hate
Yes.
like us, hate comment.
But please be not too mean
follow.
because we have a couple criers on the team, me and Megan.
Yes,
Mostly.
this stuff doesn't make me cry. Like, you can really go
Okay.
for it. It's fine. Yeah, because I
Perfect.
know that you're probably in your mom's basement. So anyway, today's story takes us out west to British Columbia, Canada. On Vancouver Island, there is a small community called Whiskey Creek on the east side of the island. Number one, Whiskey Creek sounds cool as shit.
We need to
They
live there.
better have whiskey on tap everywhere.
Ironically, not that I have found it. A podcast I listen to, which I'll talk about. She really does some great in-depth research on the whole area, and then she talks to a bunch of people, so she kind of gets the whole history. And it's something like, I don't know, 100 years ago, I think, cowboys are kind of traversing and they're checking things out, and they would just sit at this great location by the ocean drinking whiskey, and the name just kind of stuck. I kind of I have a little bit of an obsession with that kind of out west, panhandle gold rush kind of cowboy time. Is that just me?
Fair.
Like, I love Yellowstone.
Well,
If you're not
I
watching,
was
watch Yellowstone.
yeah, no, I like it, but I'm probably not as into it as like Eric is, for example. Like I have some movies to catch up on.
Oh,
Like he's like, you have to
310 to
watch
Yuma.
Tombstone because I haven't seen
Tombstone, that's on my
Tombstone.
list too.
Yeah,
It's like horrifying, but really interesting. So Whiskey Creek is a very kind of unique place. It has a surf shop, lots of campsites, lots of
okay.
outdoor supply stores. And until very recently, I checked this on Google, it's closed down. There is a burger place called Bigfoot Burgers.
Oh, okay.
So it's closed. I don't know if it's permanent. I hope it's not permanent.
I'd imagine their burgers have to be big to have that name.
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you get like a photo op with like a Sasquatch, like, selfie moment.
Well, did I tell you that my friend Jesse dressed up as a Sasquatch? And
Is this Jesse the listener?
Yeah, Jesse the listener. Hey, Jesse.
Jesse, we're gonna need that photo ASAP,
Yes.
please.
Can we put it on our Instagram?
I think he was in the newspaper in Banff because he was on Lake Minnewanka on one of the islands, and he was going around in it. And he was in the news. I think it was like on the news of like him, because it was also the same time that the Dancing Sasquatch came out, which was a new club in Banff that came out.
The Dancing Sasquatch.
Dancing Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they thought it was a promo for them, but they were like, no, he used to work on the boats that went on Lake Minnewanka, and he was just like dressed up as a Sasquatch on one of the islands one day just to like dick around.
Okay, so I love this guy even more. I will need a photo of this though.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Jesse, send me a photo so I can send it to the gals.
So just based on the description, you can kind of see how it has this like outdoorsy kind of hippie vibe. Something else about the area, that it has lots of unofficial trailer parks and people who are living rough, and that just essentially means living off grid. Campsites are not necessarily tents. A lot of these people have like trailers or kind of semi-permanent housing, but they're living without paying for water or power. Sometimes they're not even off of the main street, so they're literally just living in these makeshift encampments, a few people grouped together. And
can
most
I
times
say that this is actually like, my aunt lives in Qualicum Beach and it's in the map here.
Okay,
it's super close to where.
Well, I was just gonna say, if you want to look at photos 1 and 2, this is kind of where we're talking about.
Yeah.
So your aunt lives
she lives on the second map at Qualicum Beach.
So you should ask her about this. I'm going to get into the details, but
cool.
So photos 1 and 2 kind of showed the location, but the people that are living in these camps, most times they are struggling with drug addiction, alcohol abuse,
really
and
sad.
Homelessness. It's very sad. We have that problem here in Toronto, really all over the place. I even saw an article that in Halifax, a couple who were in their late 70s and early 80s were living in a tent in a park.
Jesus.
So now they have an apartment because it made the news. People got them help, but that's one couple, and I don't think that they weren't mixed up in anything bad. I think it was just like a financial situation, but it's horrific. In Vancouver, that's well known that especially downtown has a really bad just homelessness, drug addiction scene.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the tone. Okay.
Perfect.
The next photo 3, is Kelly Morris. So she's a local resident. She's a recovery coach, and she spends her time delivering food, blankets, clothes, and naloxone kits to these unique communities. She's now in her 60s and sober, but she's been living on the streets and addicted to drugs from the age of 12.
Oh, just a side note for everybody listening, you can go online and get a naloxone course, and you can go anywhere and they will give you a naloxone kit. If you live in an area that has a lot of this, everybody should be trained on this. It's super easy to just be trained on this, to have it. It's not going to do any harm if you give it to somebody who's not actually overdosing, and it's better to be safe than sorry because it can save a life. That's my
That's a
PSA.
good PSA.
Continue.
Yeah.
I have a little mini PSA at the bottom, but thank you for jumping in because,
Right.
you work in healthcare, so you know a
Yeah,
lot more about this than I
it's
would.
huge.
Mhm. I mean, that's amazing that she's been dedicating her life to helping people
And it's
having
Mhm.
only
gone
been
through
recent.
it.
So she's in her 60s. It's only in her last like about 4 to 5 years that she's been sober.
Wow.
And to stay sober, and this is during COVID, which was when everyone kind of went off the rails and all of
Right.
the best
That's
and worst parts of you got amplified because like no one
takes
knew
a
what
lot
was
of
going on.
strength to do
Big
that.
time. So she goes on to say that she did some very bad things when she was struggling with substance abuse, but she's been sober for the last 4 to 5 years. Kelly says, I'm hoping this will change something. I'm sorry that the tragic deaths of these people had to happen in order to make change. So that kind of leads you into what we're going to get to. So if you look at photo 4, that's just an example of one of the like motor homes or trailers that you may see in one of these
Mhm.
Yeah.
camps. So sometimes it'd be one person, but most times just for safety, there'd be a few people kind of clustered together. In some of the articles that I read, some folks really tried to make it like a home, and they had like a garden and they had like paver stones that they really were trying to live as best they
Mhm.
could. And then others, it was like a trailer plopped down the middle of a dumpster fire, like just needles everywhere, very dangerous, very messy. Just
Yeah. Are there a lot
so
of children around too? Like,
not that I heard of.
okay.
Most times, if kids are found, because the cops know about
I
these
see a kiddie
areas.
pool in this photo, so I'm just wondering.
Well, a lot of people have pets.
It's a
Oh,
footpath.
Yeah, but kids that are in the situation most times get taken away.
okay.
Like they're not. I know it's not good, but I would rather a child
Like, I mean,
not
I
grow
get
up.
it. It's
Yeah,
just it's sometimes they end up in a worse situation. So
guys, drug addiction is just one of the most like horrible things. Like hot take, right? Like my
yeah.
God, but it's just so sad. Sometimes, like not for a while, but I would watch what's that show called on A&E about drug addiction? It's
Oh,
top of my tongue.
um,
Someone
I
screaming.
know what you're talking about, but I have not
It
watched it in years. I don't
right? Oh
know.
my God, I'll figure it out. It's not. Oh, what the hell's it called? Anyway, so you watch this show and you just see people that like part of their brain
Intervention.
intervention,
Oh, that one, yeah.
and half of them wants to change so badly, wants to be a better person for their family, and they have kids, and just the other half, that addiction is so strong, and that's
Yeah.
kind of like the folks that are living out here. So here we are. It's Halloween night, 2020. So COVID was just going on for a good,
Perfect.
6-7 months.
6 months by this point.
There are reports of loud bangs and lots of yelling, but no one notified the police because, after all, it's Halloween night. There's fireworks, there's outdoor parties, and
Right.
this
Nothing
area.
unusual.
No, I mean those are. I mean, I wouldn't have notified if I heard shots and bangs because I would assume firecrackers.
Mhm.
And this area is also known for outdoor target practice, which is
Mhm.
like that just freaks me out.
Perfect.
So anyway,
Fun.
so even gunshots wouldn't be a totally
Out of the
weird thing to
norm.
hear. Mhm.
Mhm.
It wouldn't be until 2 p.m. the next day when a dirt biker would find an unresponsive man in his 30s on Melrose Forest Service Road, a very popular dirt bike trail. So on that second photo, I drew a little line from kind of like the little community center up to that trail.
Okay.
It's a 6-minute drive. So that's where this person was found. The man would be pronounced dead at the scene. And although the RCMP have not officially released any names, still to this day, by the way, it's over 4 years later, they've not released any names. Actually, it's not over 4 years. It's 4
As in, like,
years.
they have names, but they haven't released any?
Yes, I'll get to it. But the police have
Okay.
sent out nothing official.
Okay.
We do know that this man was named Tyler, and this is because journalists in the area and podcaster Laura Palmer used her season 5 of her podcast called Island Crime to tell the story of Whiskey Creek and the rest that were involved. So she knows the family of Tyler. She knows his last name, but due to fear and potential retaliation, she's keeping all of that anonymous. But there are interviews with his friends and family on her podcast, and she's changed the voices of some and no last name. So her podcast, by the way, is excellent, and it's
Okay.
not incredibly long. I think it's maybe 8 episodes. They're each about a
Okay.
half hour, and she goes into way more depth than what I'm going to do. If you are interested, I would get that
Yeah,
list. I'm gonna
we'll have
link
it in
it.
our references for
Mhm.
anyone
Oh, and
who's interested.
no big deal, but she replied to me on Reddit. So
You're famous?
yes.
Someone more famous has acknowledged her presence as
So by
Megan's
proxy.
existence.
But she did such a great job. And obviously season 5, and I think she has season 6 coming out. So now I'm just going to go back and listen to all of it. But she goes down to the site. She meets with Kelly and talks to Kelly in person, talks to the family of all the victims. And it's just, anyway. And
that's what I love about shows like Dateline 2020, when they go like talk to people and like even those podcasts that get to spend more time going in depth. Hopefully that'll be us one day. We'll have to be on the scene, but
yeah, well, especially
when we have somebody else editing everything too.
Well,
right, when it's our full-time job.
Yeah.
Well, and like, and I imagine, I mean, from what I gathered, she is like a legit journalist, and this is just a nice way to have full control over what you're talking about. Obviously, having your own podcast, you don't have to, you are the boss. And she just seems like a very like genuine, just has a really good heart, but like really concerned. And just, I think someone had actually reached out to her to say, can you please cover this? Because no one out here gives a shit. Because, who cares about a couple of people that are drug addicts getting killed?
Yeah.
Right. It's like the same thing, going back to our Gilgo Beach case with all the sex workers who are just ignored. And I mean, I know in that case they were able to get some justice, but like just in general, that's why a lot of these
But how long did it
target these
take?
vulnerable people, because they're like, no one's going to look for them, or they're going to assume they run away, or you can get away with it. Basically.
And it's like what we've said before in other, episodes, that if you're living a quote unquote high risk lifestyle, it's like, well, then that's, what did you expect was going to happen? It's like,
but sometimes it's not even
an excuse.
Like, look at the missing Indigenous women, right? It's like
yes, but
there's actually a really, I think you might have on your list, Megan, to cover. I think her name was Lorna. She was from Nova Scotia. She was an Indigenous woman who was actually doing a thesis on missing and murdered Indigenous women who went missing.
Oh my God, that case is insane. Yeah. But again, most times when someone is going missing, and a lot of this stuff also is in BC and Alberta, because it's that highway of tears thing. It's not like they're living kind of like a standard healthy life most times, and it's not by choice, of course, but most times they are involved in either sex work, or maybe there's a drug concern, or they're homeless, and so by no fault of their own, it's just kind of this generational thing. They're in positions where people have easy access, and no one gives a shit, and it's terrible. And these folks here, because they're not living in a standard house, because they don't have a standard job, just no one cares. Like, they have family, they have brothers.
Her name was Loretta Saunders. I was saying Lorna and I was wrong.
So I could remember. I knew it was L something, but I will cover that case one day.
Okay.
So anyway, let's focus back on these people here. So like I said, Laura met with a lot of the family, and it's because of her and this other journalist that now these people have names, and it's because of the reporters, not because of the police, that their names have come up. So I just want to make that very clear. RCMP have never confirmed, but it's known, like it's accepted. So picture 5 is Tyler. So this is his real name, but like I said, last names have not been given out. And this photo has been shared by the media and by Tyler's family. So I think it's appropriate to share it here. And he just looks like a decent, nice guy.
He looks like he's probably like in his mid-30s or something. Like our age, basically. So it really hits home.
Listen to the podcast as she goes in depth about his life, and it's scary how no one thing has to go wrong for you to end up exactly where Tyler was. It's really scary.
Do you remember anything about it?
Yeah, so basically he just was kind of like a quiet kid. He had a couple really good friends, but he was just like the quiet type. And so for asshole bullies, that's like an easy target, someone that's not going to fight back or say too much. And he may have also had a learning disability. Even when we're younger, that wasn't really focused on as much. I feel like now it's more focused on.
Yeah.
So our high school was pretty good about it.
Yeah, actually,
I think it's just between now and like even then, it's just been so many improvements, I think.
Yes, definitely. Things have changed.
So he just had some trouble in school. He had some trouble fitting in. He just had some, some trouble socially. And it just, it's like one thing kind of led to another, where maybe he felt accepted by a group that was kind of doing drugs and kind of nasty stuff. And it wasn't like it happened overnight. And she interviews one of his really good friends, and he was like shocked that Tyler had been killed, like murdered, not like an accident, like murder. He's like, that was the last person he ever would have thought. And I think most of us would feel the same way. Like,
right. He's just like your typical, like, nice, shy kid.
Yeah.
Got wrapped up in the
And then
wrong
all
crowd.
of a sudden, drugs become the one thing that he is focused on. And so his family did the tough but hard thing to say, well, like, you can't stay here if you're doing that, because it's this whole fucking thing. So he was in constant communication, though, with his mom all the time. His mom and his aunt specifically. Like, I think it was through Facebook, but also he would get phones, like, honestly, they're burner phones, but he was texting them all the time, calling. So, like, he was in constant contact. So at least they knew he was alive and relatively safe. And then it wasn't until it was a couple days of nothing, and then
they knew something was wrong.
They found out that he had been killed. And just I'll get to more. Picture 6 and 7 are almost identical. This is just the entrance to the campsite.
Okay.
And it's just kind of funny. Like, I really only need to use one, because it's an RCMP car on one side, and it just changes models. There's a guy in one.
Yeah.
It's just kind of showing you the entrance.
Like a dirt road. So for anyone listening,
so I had mentioned earlier that a lot of people that ride dirt bikes love this area, and that's how.
So they're blocking the entrance. Sorry, where the cars are. Okay.
Yeah. So this is where Tyler was found. Is he had kind of made it out of the woods onto this road, and it was a dirt biker, because they're up there all the time. So once police are on the scene, it's one of the worst things that they've ever seen. Earlier reports that morning around 6 a.m. Said that there was smoke coming from the woods, and now the smoke has its source. There are 2 trailers that are completely burnt out, and in the trailers are the deceased bodies of Sean McGrath, age 51, that's picture 8, and his girlfriend Shonda Wilson, or Atkinson. She went by both names. That's picture 9. And 4 dogs had been shot.
Oh my God. Shot?
Yeah. Everyone had been shot, and then the trailers were set on fire.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
I'm guessing those dogs were trying to probably protect them too. So
I don't have the type of dogs that they were, but I think one of them belonged to Tyler, and I think it was a pit bull dog. Okay. Like I've said this before, but everyone who ends up in this situation was an innocent little child at one point, and it's just life and circumstance that sometimes leads you here.
Okay, sorry. Run through the names with me one more time. The first guy that we saw a photo of is Tyler. And then the second 2 people are
Sean and Shonda.
Sean and Shonda. Okay.
I know, it's unfortunate that their names are so close.
Yeah.
So
Sean is 51 and Shonda is
38.
Okay.
So Sean also had a really rough life, and I'll kind of get into it, but he was described as incredibly violent, incredibly angry, scary. So I'm assuming that the dogs were there to also just kind of cause fear in people, and also to protect his kind of little area. But their camp specifically was known to be incredibly dangerous, and other folks that were living in the woods just knew not to go near them. I didn't hear too much about Shonda being aggressive or not, but I think that Sean did enough for all of them.
Right. Sure, he's probably like the protector.
He sounds kind of like the opposite of Tyler and his
yeah, exactly.
demeanor.
So Tyler kind of got mixed up in the drug scene and essentially was working for Sean. So I don't think Sean had a valid license. And, getting pulled over for something as innocuous as not having a license would just put a big stitch in any plan he had to sell drugs.
Reason to probably search and
exactly.
Whatever.
So because Tyler had a valid license, he did all the driving, and he just worked for drugs mostly. It's really just so heartbreaking. Sad. Like, guys, I'm not kidding. Don't do drugs.
Yeah.
Unless it's weed. Weed's probably okay. But, like, don't overdo it.
I mean, there's certain drugs that can be a little fun, but it's my
mom listens to this, so I don't do any drugs at all.
It's about moderation.
I definitely don't. I have
and it's
children.
It's about I don't know, if you have an addictive personality as well, like
or you have to know how they affect you. Like some people when they drink, they can't
can't handle certain things
or like things like that. And it's like you know your limit if you're gonna drink.
Or are you dealing with other things?
How are you affecting other people around you
Well,
too?
and
Yes,
actually
also,
on that,
do you have
sorry.
mental health problems?
Well, I was just gonna say,
Because
so
that can cause you to be more addictive.
That's a huge proponent
You're
to
looking for the
everyone in this
scapegoat.
situation. Yeah, it's not like everyone has to have kind of some severe mental disorder, but
No.
that really it honestly it all goes hand in hand. And
I forget,
one may cause the other to get worse, and it's just one of those.
I was watching something recently. It was because they were shutting down the safe injection places here in Toronto, and which is it's I'm not going to get started on that because I could rant about that all day. Okay. But anyways, he was just talking to the news, and he was saying about how he had really bad addiction, and he was like, I was able to get out of it about 12 years ago. He's like, but my depression is what pushed me into addiction. Basically, he was like, I needed to feel happy, and the only way I could feel happy was by doing these drugs. So he was like, I wasn't able to get the help where I needed it, so I went to something else. And then he was just talking about how like these safe injection places basically like saved his life and all of this kind of stuff. So yeah, when you have mental health that's not being dealt with properly or addressed properly, like it's very easy to run into these other issues as well. So I think it's very easy to just be like, hey, stigma, all drugs are bad, where it's like sometimes, yes, I mean, things are mixed with things and they're not safe and blah, 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 but it's like moderation as well. But if you're not somebody that can do things in moderation, then yes, don't go to drugs, because that's going to be very, very bad for you.
Just have a nice ice water and touch grass.
Obviously easier said than done if you've gone down a certain path.
100%.
Yes.
It's tough for everyone, because it's like you have to first acknowledge and then want to make those changes. Even if you want to, then it's a whole other ball game to actually do it. So
yes, 100%.
I think something that most people can kind of identify with easier is alcohol abuse, because alcohol is so socially acceptable. And I know that during COVID,
I'm sorry, but Ford bars are basically safe consumption places, but okay, let's get rid of the safe injection places.
Same difference, right? My husband really, like, he does drink, but he is not a social drinker at all. Ironically, that's like the only time he would drink is if we're like at my parents' place or at a party. Otherwise, he may have a beer once in a while. But my old roommate and I, we would have, a glass of wine or two a night, like watching a movie. And then before you know it, you've had multiple bottles in a week and you don't even realize. And I didn't even think that was a lot. But then when you add it up, like that is a lot. And I know that over COVID, I went the other way and I like almost stopped drinking, because I'm like, well, why would I drink if he's not going to finish the wine with me? No one's around. I'm quarantining. So I stopped, and I still don't drink as much. But then other people ramped up. And now that the world is like back to normal, some of their loved ones are just concerned, because it almost became just, that's just what they do.
Right. And I feel like a lot of alcohol delivery services were being pushed and things like that, because it's you are
considered the safe drug also.
I'm saying with you, Megan. Like, I found my consumption go way down, especially after having kids, because I couldn't for you, like I know they have it, and then breastfeeding or whatever. But even now, I'm like, I kind of save it. Like, I save my wildest times for when I'm with you too, because like I do like having, I like going out and having fun. And,
we like having a drink.
You do like having a drink, and I'm like, I buy drinks now that I'm like, I like the taste of this drink. I like my ciders, my margaritas, my palomas.
Flavor is more important. And I remember there have been times I've never felt pressure to drink whatsoever, but it's just like I enjoy, and everyone, I would say most
like,
people,
no one's gonna pressure me to take a shot.
No, but feeling a little bit buzzed with your friends and your dancing always feels great. But then there's just some times where I'm like, I'm just not going to drink this time. And like, I have the same amount of fun. I think for some people, it is like a social lubricant. It makes them kind of unwind a little bit.
Well, every once in a while it's good. I even know myself, like, you girls both know everything that I went through during COVID and after COVID and all of that. And like, there was a time where even with weed is also considered a safe drug. Like, I know that I was smoking all the time to not feel certain things, or just to like escape certain things, because I wasn't happy with where certain things were, and I was dealing with certain
issues
and downfall.
How about you say certain things one more time?
certain things, they know what the certain things are.
I
But
know.
it's there anything can be abused to a point, and it is very hard to get out of, and it's very hard to get to that point of looking inward, especially if you don't have the help.
And support, and people
And
to actually
support,
have those real
yes.
conversations and say, "Listen,
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm very concerned about you. This is not a judgment thing. This is a health thing."
Yeah.
And anyone that is listening that maybe is feeling kind of triggered, maybe ask yourself why. Hopefully that's not the case,
Right.
but I mean,
But
everyone
you're not
has that
alone
moment.
either. Like, I have
Hell no,
someone
you're not
very,
alone.
very close to me right now who realized, like, hey, the amount of alcohol I'm drinking is actually a lot, even though I'm not getting drunk or anything like that. It's
Mhm.
just the amount being
Yeah.
consumed is a lot, and I need to address that for my health. And that's totally normal too. You might be someone who's perfectly fine and like you're not a drunk or you're not like being belligerent or whatever. It's not always
But
obvious, but
when
you
you're
could
drinking
still
every
be
day, maybe.
right. It still could be like a crutch or
Yeah.
something like that. So I know we've all been there. We've all know, like there was someone that I dated for a long time that struggled with, he'd be really great for a while and then fall into a pattern of all right, you're drinking too much. And then that would affect me. And,
Oh, for sure.
it was really hard because it's like you like really care about this person. And then all of a sudden they're not them. Right. So
Mhm.
you have to really, it's tough.
Oh, it's
So,
Yeah.
really tough. And
Tough for
especially
everybody involved,
well, I
yeah.
mean, and
right.
you want to bring it up, which is hard enough because you're concerned, and then that person gets defensive because likely they already know. Like they already know what they're
Mhm.
doing is
It's
not
true.
right.
It's a delicate topic and you
And then
have
it
to be
causes this kind
gentle
of
about
like
it.
not
Right.
well, anger for sure, but that everyone feels upset, and then you're like, "I wish I hadn't said it," but you have to say it. We're not getting off topic because like this is
We're
this is
Yeah.
how these
I
people got here, but it's just
right.
and we're not like licensed professionals at all, but just
Not in this aspect.
if you're feeling some kind of
Yeah.
way, you are not alone. If you think you're the one that maybe is overdoing it or you know someone that is, you're not alone. So just there's no shame. We talked about stigma. There is a huge stigma, but that is
Yeah.
just that's horseshit. Like your life is more
Mhm.
important than how someone perceives you. Like you have to worry about, your health first.
Well, and also just the fact that it's, like, easy for anybody to kind of fall into it, just it's circumstance. It's
Yeah.
always
Mhm.
circumstance. That's
Yeah.
what it comes down to, you know? So,
So we love you
mhm.
and we're
Um,
gonna
yeah, we
continue
can
on
empathize with probably a lot of stuff too, and
100%.
um we feel it. So,
So
Yeah.
this is gonna get more of a bummer. We'll have to do some kind of like happy thing at the end to bring us back up
well, we
because
can talk
this
about
just
Halloween at the end or something like
yes,
that.
okay.
Okay, perfect.
So I had talked about how poor Tyler was found on the road in these trailers. We find Sean and we find Shonda. There's also a fourth victim. He sustained a gunshot wound to the shoulder, but he did live. He
Okay.
he was building these kind of like little fun camp out things in the woods, like not a tree house, but just like fun little zones. I don't know why. And this was a grown man, but I guess he just was building like little mini camps for himself. And he was able to climb into one and hide. And he was found the next day. So he
Oh,
lived.
wow.
And his name has never been publicized because, spoiler alert, the persons responsible have never been captured. And
Jesus.
this is kind of like a small town than a small town. If you're like living rough, like living off the grid, living in these communities,
Yeah.
everyone knows everyone. And, you talk to the cops, that puts a bullseye right on your back.
And this person that survived has no, do they have a memory of who it is? Or maybe you're gonna get into that?
There's no information whatsoever.
Jesus, okay.
So very
So
likely
this person, if they know, they just haven't said anything.
they may have talked to the cops, but the cops have not released any information whatsoever.
It's fair. They're
Okay.
probably trying to be very delicate with things if they do
I mean,
know.
I wonder if things are going on behind the scenes, but part of me, like the cynical part, is just like
It's
maybe
because
they
of the
don't care.
community.
Yeah. And I'll get into some of the things that just the community are saying.
Okay.
Picture 10 and 11 are horrendous. This is the burnt out campsite. It's not like a scary photo, but it
God.
really just shows you that they had two trailers together. It was a little, well, a little plot, and
Right.
everything is just burnt to a crisp. And you can see like the metal that held up the trailers. You can just see some more kind of garbage and such,
So
but it's
whoever
just
did
burnt.
this had
Mhm.
some knowledge of how to like,
Supposed to
I don't
start a
know, for
fire.
arson. Yeah, like some some sort of knowledge.
I feel like a lot of the stuff is like very flammable material, of like polyester foam. But but the fact, I mean, how often?
Well, I mean, what do you need? You need some gasoline.
And I guess this is not near any major roads, so
well, I mean, because
lots
like
of time.
This was obviously done in the night, and it wasn't until 6 a.m. the next day when the sky was
like,
bright.
oh, it's a bonfire for Halloween.
Well, and someone said, "Oh, I saw smoke," and literally no one arrived until Tyler's body was found. So 6 a.m. there's calls about a fire, and the cops were like, And it was so just imagine Tyler's family, right? Because he's the one that had the most kind of like family connections, I guess. And so I heard some police officers on Laura's podcast just say, if the cops had been called sooner or later, it would have made no difference. So the cops not going on time didn't really help or hinder anything. And I'm like, so think about Tyler's parents thinking that his body is lying on the road from presumably, middle of the night until 2 p.m. the next day. So over 12 hours.
Jesus. And you're telling me nothing could have been done?
Like, okay, Tyler was shot and killed, and maybe he was dead for a long time, but his body's just out in the woods. And people had said, we've heard shots. I see a fire. Anyway, just we can go down that whole rabbit hole.
Okay.
So
there's no urgency to respond.
Does not seem like there was any urgency whatsoever. Okay. Dubbed the Halloween massacre in the media, not much more information comes out other than what I've just told you. The RCMP are very tight-lipped, but they do say it seems like a targeted attack. Laura, the journalist, who I'm just gassing up because she's awesome, and other reporters in the area are the only reasons why we even know the names Tyler, Shanda, and Sean. Like, the cops have never said anything. It's generally agreed that Sean was the likely intended target, as he had a very lengthy criminal record, mostly drug-related offenses. So they think it could have been like a deal went bad. There was some musings that maybe there was some drug money that wasn't handed off correctly, and people were enjoying that money, and then it kind of got back to who was responsible. And for Tyler, it was kind of like wrong place, wrong time. Same with the other person that survived. There's also a theory that this unnamed person was shot in the shoulder on purpose, as like a look what we can do to you if you fuck with us. And that's why he's saying nothing, because he probably knows exactly who did it. This is just speculation. I haven't. But I mean, it would have been just as easy to kill everyone, right? Unless he really did hide and they couldn't see him. But people are under the assumption that it was just he's a message, essentially. Him living is a message, which is like, ugh. The Whiskey Creek murders the podcast goes a lot deeper into Sean's past. His father, from Newfoundland, by the way, still lives in Vancouver, and he tells a story of how a young Sean had a very hard time in school, finding his place in the world. Sounds like Tyler, honestly. And things were kind of going okay for him. He kind of got on the straight and narrow a little bit. But then there was a terrible car accident that killed his best friend who was driving and his own 4-year-old son.
Oh, his son?
Yeah, his little baby was in the back seat, 4 years old. So, talking about how life can impact you. From then on, his dad said he just was not the same. And we were kind of talking about this earlier. I'm not a doctor. I know you're all shocked, but it's not very hard to draw the line from this horrendous, tragic event to like mental health declining, seeking solace in drugs and alcohol to escape, to forget, like we were just talking about that. So that could have been the point that really just kind of like sent him into a nosedive. So at that point, since his path was kind of on the shaky side, he then tipped completely towards, anger, self-destruction. And then eventually he became known as this like feared monster in this community, which is like, you can still be a really bad guy and do bad things. But I just think that context is important to know how someone may have gotten there. And we also didn't really talk about it because it's not, no one's been diagnosed, but there is just talk in the area that there was probably some mental health crises happening all at the same time. So this is just like really sad because this guy could have been a really bad guy, an asshole, but it just sucks. On public Facebook pages and like news article comment sections, people were writing in relation to the murders. They were saying he had it coming. Karma's a bitch, ain't it? Good news for Vancouver Island.
Jesus.
That's crazy.
Like, it reminds me a lot of the Philip Boudreau case that I just
Yeah,
covered.
that's so true. I was just thinking about that, actually.
Like, someone can be a annoying piece of shit, guy that steals from you, beats you up, and anyone involved in selling of drugs, just like,
Yeah.
damn, like, that's not ideal. But it's still a person,
Mhm.
and, I don't really know much about Shanda or Shonda, I'm not sure how she pronounce it, but her and Tyler especially. I know that she was kind of involved in some of the court cases that were involving Sean, but you just don't know how people get there, and they're still humans. And it's just to say that kind of shit about people that are dead is just like, dude, like,
Right. I think you made a
get
good point
offline.
that all these people were once children and they may not have had the best upbringing, or like something might have happened to them, and we don't know.
No,
But we were lucky enough that, I'm not saying we've had perfect lives, but like we would
yeah,
have
but
loving
it
parents,
didn't go down
and
that route.
yeah, exactly. We were lucky enough to have some things that others don't have or never will. So I know, I understand. It's hard to not sympathize a little bit with the situations people come from, and obviously they have to make your own choices. But when from a young age you've gone down a path, and it's so hard to go somewhere
Yeah.
else. You don't know any better. You don't have that
Mhm.
support.
Which is
So
why I think that it's amazing that this woman, Kelly, who literally is still associating with helping out these same people that she lived alongside for most of her life, is
mhm.
now on the other side of it. And that's why she's I mean, I'm gonna talk about her more actually in a second, but not that she's fearless, but she's like, I have literally been where they are and not that long ago. And they're still people. And when you are on drugs and you're homeless and your mental health is shit and you are addicted, you're going to do some really shitty stuff. And that's almost like, it's hard to separate the acts from the person because it's
Mhm.
almost like there's this different layer on top. And Kelly now is on the other side and she remembers all the things that she did. She knows what she did. But just there is good in all of us, and it just sucks that these people couldn't get help before it came to this. Um, so we know a little bit about Sean, a little bit about Tyler, but I don't have much information on Shanda. Obviously, then she was having a very hard life, avid drug user, and that she was listed on a few of the court documents about Sean. So she was, involved in the same goings ons, which is mostly drug trafficking, sales.
Not
Um,
not ideal stuff
no,
Right.
to be
and again, it's not like
involved
you
in.
wake up and you think, oh, I'm gonna be a drug dealer when I grow up.
Yeah.
So
No.
now this is about Kelly a little bit. So Kelly, who we mentioned, says that she knows a lot of very bad, very scary people, but they look out for her since, like I said, she was one of them not too long ago, and also just human to human. Like, I don't know, she has a lot of empathy because she knows exactly how it feels. So she
Right.
is still helping them, still doing very good work, and they kind of look out for her and they just make sure that she's always taken care of. On
Mhm.
that fateful Halloween night, Kelly loaded up her car with all of her care kits to deliver to those living in the campsites. But then she got a phone call. The phone call told her, do not go out tonight. Stay away from Whiskey Creek. Kelly says that she knows who the caller is, but she will not disclose who it is for her own safety. She
Mm.
feels like if she were to
Oh,
give that up,
wow.
then she may lose the protection that she's been given all these years.
And this person might not even be the one behind it. They just might have had insight too into
Well, like I
this was
said,
gonna
it's a very
happen, and
tight
then they might be
community.
scared as well. It's like, "All
Yeah.
right, we're scared, but we love you, and we don't want
Yeah,
you
we
to
wanna
be
protect
Yeah.
there."
you.
This is
I'm
gonna
imagining
happen with whether or not you're there or not, so
so don't be around. I'm imagining that
right,
if it's not the person involved, it's someone that overheard or someone that heard of like, I'm gonna go teach Sean a lesson, yada yada, and then they
right.
said, well, I better make sure
And
that
maybe she doesn't know either if this person was directly involved or if they
I think
weren't,
she's
so
asking no questions. She got the call, she knows who the caller is, and she's like, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna say
I wouldn't
anything.
ask any questions. I
right, and
wouldn't.
I
Me
understand.
neither.
I understand her not
Yeah.
saying that, because are we gonna lose more people over
Yeah.
over her saying it? Like, it's, and clearly she's doing a lot of good stuff in that community,
Well, what's that thing
but
we said
I
about
understand her hands are
a
why she
gift
feels like
horse?
her
Don't look a
hands are
gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah, I don't
right.
really know what that saying means, but
I don't think we're ever gonna
I know
know.
it's a saying.
I'm still keep bringing it up and hope that one day
This
someone
is
goes,
the right
excuse
saying
me.
for that, what I just said.
Yeah.
So
I
Yeah.
don't know what it means, but based on
I
context
don't know
clues,
the origins of it.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah.
Horses are involved.
Right. Don't take things for granted.
So at this stage, essentially everyone is afraid to talk to police. Some have talked to Laura and other reporters, but most times it's, having their names change, their voices change, or off the record completely. Everyone fears that if they were to say what they know, that'll put a target on their back, which I completely understand. And when you're living off grid in the middle of the woods, there is essentially no protection for you. So as of this recording, which is in September 2024, there have been no updates from the RCMP, and those responsible for the Halloween night Whiskey Creek massacre have never been caught. In British Columbia, if you or someone is experiencing homelessness, drug or alcohol addiction, anything similar, I'm going to give Lindsay a nice big long link to put on our website, but I do have a link shortener.
And we're going to put a little thing on the screen.
Yes. Well. So this is the short link. Otherwise it's like I'm reading this whole big web page. So it is https://rb.gy/ this sounds like a fake one, but this is real, 4ZB23N. I'm not going to say it again because that's a nightmare, but essentially it is a link of tons of resources if you're living in Vancouver, for a wide variety of things. So if you or someone needs help, take advantage, even if it's just for a warm bed for the night.
And if you're not in BC, there's other resources out there as well for your communities. I mean, we can't link every single community, but thank you, Megan, for getting those resources, and we'll put that on our website if anyone needs it.
And I just wish everyone, light and love and luck, and life is fucking hard and it's not your fault.
Yeah, maybe there'll be a deathbed confessional at some point,
Oh God. No, I know. You know what? The people that did this, no.
No, not the people that did this, but maybe the people
who
that
know something might confess on their deathbed.
I just hope that the people that know something just decide to tell the police, and then maybe they move somewhere they've always wanted to move to, and they just have a great rest of their life. Because
look, they're not going to do it unless they feel completely safe. They're just not.
Right.
So
you don't want to live your whole life with looking over your shoulder.
Well, and these are small communities.
And they already know from experience that these people are capable of murdering and then covering it up.
And also that the cops don't act as fast as they could. So it's well, what is in it for you, Yeah. So anyway, that is the super sad and depressing story of Tyler, Sean, and Shonda and the Whiskey Creek murders.
Well, thank you, Megan, for sharing the story. I know it wasn't probably fun to research, but it's definitely a story worth sharing. Right.
People that already have a really hard life, and it's just no one deserves this.
I feel very grateful right now that to not have to deal with some of the things that the people you've told us about today have had to deal with in life.
And it's crazy how easy it happens too. That's
right. You can go from anyone could be one step away from having
homelessness,
a completely different life. Right?
Yeah. I feel very grateful on regular the hand that I was dealt in life, because it's
very grateful.
Yeah. Could be one card away, that's for sure, for any of us. So
how do we make this good now?
I would show you my cat, but she's sleeping on the bed and out of the way. I thought she would come up with me. But...
Okay, I have a fun fact.
Okay.
So the listeners, I don't think I've said this on the podcast yet, but I have a whole list of movies ranging from fun fall movies to classic Halloween ones, and then just horror movies in general. So I realized I had never seen Child's Play. Oh, we have a really chunky kitty on the camera now.
To get it.
So I had never seen Child's Play, because when I saw it for the first time, when Andy is carrying Chucky and he's in a literal crack house, my anxiety, I just couldn't even. By the way, I'm not a parent. I just couldn't. I couldn't. So I turned it off. So I watched it last night. And for those that don't know, in the very beginning, there's a mother and son, and the mother has to work. And so her best friend and coworker says, "Don't worry, I'll watch your son. I'll put him to bed," all that good stuff. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, "You're so familiar." She plays Marty Maraschino from Grease.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't remember that. It's been too long since I've watched Child's Play.
That sounds, yeah.
We will put Marty on the screen right now.
Yay.
Chantel, put it right here.
Okay. There she is.
So, and I mean, I love Grease. I haven't seen it in a while, but I've seen it 1,000 times. And I'm like, oh my God, when she's not dressed like she's like a 50s kind of gal, I'm like, yeah, that's literally her. So,
Okay.
and obviously
You've
the mom thing's kind of heavy.
everybody can shun Megan right now because she's never seen Pet Sematary.
And
Yeah,
what?
the classic or the new one, which like the new one's fine. You don't need to, but like the classic.
I don't think I've seen the new one yet either. So maybe I'll
So
watch that.
that's
I'll
fine.
add it to the Halloween lineup for this year.
I wonder if it's on my list. Hold on 1 second.
You definitely need to see the classic. Anybody listening needs to see the classic.
I feel like out of the three of us, Megan's always one who's seen everything.
I know. That's why I'm always shocked whenever she says something like this.
Usually she's like, how have you not seen this? Well, now we
can I tell you really quick the movies that I have watched on my list that I have never seen before?
I feel like this is going to be a long list, but go for it.
No.
Oh, that you've never seen before. Okay.
I've never seen before.
But you just recently watched.
Yes. And they're either fall autumnal vibes, like Gilmore Girls, how everyone except for Chantel is watching Gilmore Girls.
I've never watched Gilmore Girls.
I've never watched Gilmore Girls.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Chantel and I've watched that. It's like pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. I've watched it so many times.
We were Community on repeat. That's what we were.
That's right. I also have a list of all the Halloween episodes of Community. That show is fucking amazing. So yeah, either they're like fall vibes or they're Halloween based or they're just horror movies, which is like my bread and butter.
Okay.
So ones that I've seen that I've never seen before: St. Elmo's Fire,
which we discussed during our episode for.
There are no flaming ships involved, FYI.
Okay.
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
You'd never seen that?
No.
Oh.
But we talked about Bela Lugosi in one of your episodes.
I know.
Is that what inspired you to finally watch it?
No, it's a classic.
Okay.
Keanu Reeves, like, this is not news. His accent is brutal.
Obviously.
But it's a really sexy movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just FYI. You guys probably have seen it.
Okay.
Clue I've seen 1,000 times, but Damien finally saw Clue.
That's okay, well, this isn't horror film. So
fall, like fall, spooky, haunted house, murder mystery. Yeah. Okay. Mystic Pizza.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Sounds familiar.
Julia Roberts.
Okay.
And that beautiful actress who then was on the X-Files when X-Files all went to shit.
Jillian.
No.
No.
She's beautiful. Julie Anderson. No. She has brown hair. Anyway. God, you'd know where to see her. She's great. The First Omen, I have seen, but Damien had never seen it.
Okay.
Child's Play, which you all know. Suspiria.
I don't think I've seen that.
It's like a famous one. It's like about a ballet dance house, and it's really, really weird, but it's also very, very cool.
Okay.
It's 70s, but they love lights. There's a lot of cool lighting. You should watch it. It's good. What else? Oh well,
you've seen Rosemary's Baby, right?
Yes, that is on my list, though. That is on my list. Okay. Oh, and then I also finally watched Little Shop of Horrors, which I'd never seen.
I recently watched. Well, this is a newer one. I don't think I've seen Little Shop of Horrors either. Actually, to be fair,
it's good.
I know. I think I'm confusing it with like something Goosebumps related.
So the premise is that there is a little plant that looks kind of like a Venus flytrap, sort of.
Yeah.
And also the movie is based on like a Broadway show that was on way before. So I thought that I was like, oh, the movie is the original. No, it's not. So it's like a little Venus flytrap that during an eclipse kind of like appears, and it's like, oh, this magical plant. And Rick Moranis is in this movie, who like we all love.
Right.
Rick Moranis so much.
Yes.
And the plant is bringing all this business because it's so interesting, but then it starts to die, and the only thing that makes it get strong is human flesh.
Oh.
I wonder if I should try feeding my plants some human flesh.
There you go.
It's a sacrifice.
That's why they're dying. But human.
But it is a musical, and I mean, some of the songs are really good. And then anyway. And there's like 1,000 more movies. Those are just the ones I've watched recently.
I recently watched Immaculate. It sucks. So you both know.
Okay, so don't add it to the list. Okay.
I was just left with 100 questions. Like at first I was like, you know what? Like I'll give it a 6.5. And then it's like later I was like, no. What did I say? 5.5 or a 5 out of 10?
Yeah, you did change it. You dumped a whole point off.
I know, because like I slept on it and I was like, no, that wasn't good. The ending I did not predict, which I think I liked when I was watching it, but it wasn't scary. And it also just it left me with so many questions at the end. So I was like, I'm not down for it.
And more like plot holes than like actual like, ooh, what next?
Yeah. Did you watch it yet?
No, but it reminds me of The Nun, which I'm like, this could have been so much scarier.
I know. The Nun has so much potential.
I think it was still like scary, like her character.
It was creepy,
but like,
it left me with it. It answered no questions.
Right.
It just, like,
I definitely wanted more answers too. And they could, if they had more like story, then I could really be like, now I need to see more.
It's an origin story. They could have had so much fun with it. Like, how come we didn't get to see? I can't even remember now. It's been so long. But if I remember correctly, you don't really get to know the nun, right? Like the nun.
No, that was the questions that it left me with. I was like, I thought the whole reason of this was to tell me about where the nun came from and why she was there.
Why can't we see a nun that then gets tricked by the devil and then becomes this evil demonic whatever?
But to be fair, I haven't seen the newest one, The Nun 2. I don't know if they answered that.
I don't think I've seen The Nun 2 yet either. Maybe I'll be on my list.
Well,
I feel like I've seen almost all the Conjuring movies.
To talk about creepy, my cat is staring up at nothing in the ceiling right now. So
ghost.
Yeah. Sometimes my children do that too, and I'm like,
oh, fantastic. Just to throw them out. They're done. They can't live here anymore.
If you have made it to this point in the podcast, please let us know what is your like go-to horror movie, or if you like a favorite Halloween movie, because like the classics are like obviously Hocus Pocus, Practical Magic, like my love.
I want to know the weird things.
Well, and Halloween Town is my
I have never seen
family Halloween.
I've never
You've
seen
never
Halloween
seen Halloween Town? That was like
it's on my list. It's on my list.
Halloween movie growing up.
Oh my god,
it's good for if you don't like scary. That's
okay. As someone who didn't celebrate Halloween until they were much older, even I liked Halloween Town once I got older. I was just like, this has just made me like, I don't know, I loved it. It was up there with like,
I'm still
I actually follow like Marnie on Instagram, like the actress.
Oh, do you? What's it called? Bed something and broomsticks.
No idea.
Bed knobs and broomsticks.
Oh,
up there with that.
I've heard of that one. I've never seen that one either. The main actress, like the teenage girl in that first movie, Halloween Town, she plays the gifted girl in Rose Red, which is the Stephen King book. Like, well, the miniseries. It was like a 3-hour long movie. I think I actually have it on my bookshelf somewhere. Anyway, but it's like a big haunted house, and it's kind of like it was inspired by the Winchester Mystery House, but it's like scarier. And
another shitty movie was the Winchester one.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was
so
not
so much potential, so bad.
Now we're just bashing movies. But yeah, so please let us know what is like your favorite scary movie, or like your
one
like,
more
every Halloween you have to watch it.
For like family friendly, The Halloween Tree. I don't know if you've seen that. It's a animated.
Oh, okay.
You should watch that one too. It's like sad, but like it goes through like even go back to like Day of the Dead and everything, and
that's cool.
You should watch it. Yeah, I used to watch
what is the age on that? Because we said that to Megan for her kids to watch, or
I would say it's more like for like maybe 7 or 8. And
she has lots of time.
10 or something. Yeah, I don't know. Probably like a little older.
I have to start indoctrinating my niece and nephew into Halloween. So I think when I go job here, I'm bringing them. Yes, because my
sister-in-law Hotel like Transylvania. Grayson loves it. That's a good one.
I always want to watch that.
That's a good. Like they have songs. Like they all like it.
I liked Hotel Transylvania actually.
Yeah.
So see, now I have more to add to my list.
Yeah, when I go to visit, I'm gonna try and bring some. I mean, they're already running around. I showed you guys the video. They're already running around in like their Halloween costumes now.
Step 1.
Yeah. So I need.
They like candy, probably.
Obviously, they're
that's the gateway.
But yeah, like my sister-in-law is like the least spooky person in the world, and I honestly don't know how my brother's thrown Halloween parties before.
Your brother
you didn't marry her, luckily, so like otherwise it would not be.
See, but your brother is already on the cusp, because if you like rock and roll, that's like one step away from Satanism. So he's already kind of
We have the same Queens of the Stone Age t-shirt concert.
Right. The kids have a good mix of like happy Halloween and then spooky Halloween.
Yeah. So
my friend Megan, who you guys obviously all know, I always call her like soft autumn. Like that's her vibe. She is so anti-ghost. Like that is just not her jam. That really freaks her out. So I got her kids, of course, like Halloween books and like Halloween stuff, but it's like cute Halloween, because like who else will do it?
Okay, but I just want to say for Megan, credit where credit is due. She fucking brought it for Megan's Toronto bachelorette because I threw it as Halloween themed because even though it's September.
Okay with murder. The murder part's fine.
Yeah.
It's the ghost part.
So anyways, she like brought it. She did an amazing Halloween themed charcuterie board that just like she was like, I just Pinterested the whole thing. I was like, I don't care how you did it. This is phenomenal. And
awesome.
Anyways, so even though she's not one of the spooky girls, she can bring it when it needs to be brought.
That's how you know you have a good friend, when someone is totally out of their wheelhouse and there's like, but my friend needs this from me. And she just Pinterested the shit out of it. And I loved it.
Yeah, it was great.
Awesome. Well, also, I mean, to everyone's credit too for that particular one, Chantel and Steph, like you guys did awesome. And then for my other bachelorette, I had two. Okay, I had two.
I don't go to that many bachelorettes, so I'm fine that you had two. But
listen,
as long as I got to go to one, which
the only reason why Megan had two, she did not ask for two, was because we planned to.
It just turned into two. Okay, I'm not that person.
Yeah, we did that. Not her.
We've completely gone off topic, but I feel happier than when we originally started at the end. So,
perfect.
Everyone, get ready for Halloween. If you're just starting now, you're already like a month late, but listen, you can do it. So go get some treats right now to get you inspired. Check out Pinterest.
Have something pumpkin spice.
Yeah, stab someone, whatever. You know,
whatever you need to do.
I take it back. Don't stab anyone.
Whatever you need to do to get in the mood.
Yeah. And I love you all. Thank you for listening. And please subscribe and, like and share and follow and comment.
Go to our Ko-fi.
Like us.
It's coffee, but
like
us, Ko-fi.
Yeah. Please like me.
Okay, we love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening today. We loved having you. If you liked the episode, share with your friends, family, or anyone who would enjoy it. Also, take a moment to review our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Leaving us a like or comment really helps. If you'd like to buy us a coffee, please visit our coffee page at www.ko-fi.com/coastfiles. Email us at coastfilespod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at coastfilespod, or visit our website at www.coastfiles.com. You can find the sources for today's episode on our website. See you next week with a new episode.